Biking has changed and is changing. We all know that.
Bikes are faster, clothes are funkier. Biking has moved up a gear.
So welcome to Two Wheels Extra.
The new bike show for the new biker.
No, it's more like the new biker.
Yeah, no, it's all right the way I said it.
Over the next 12 weeks, we're going to look at the bikes, the kit, the people and the places that are bringing new folks into biking and dragging old hands back. We'll have road tests of every type and even era, 70s, sports and off-roaders. We've got them all covered.
And we'll have you covered with the weekly selection of biking fashion if you're into scooters, racing, high street posing or just keeping the weather out. We'll review it, try it on and leave the choice up to you.
Every week we'll look at a different biking activity, learn how to ride like the professionals, buy a unique scooter and go off-roading. Off-biking even, oops.
For more and more people, getting onto two wheels means a scooter, and we'll have the rundown of the hottest models on the market. From funky 50s, retro style or budget buys. We'll review them, ride them and try not to crash them. All of which makes Melon Motors your biking channel.
Just don't forget, Paul and Wayne are still going to be here every week with the latest from the world of bikes on two wheels.
So just think of us as your weekly colour supplement.
Hence the name Two Wheels Extra.
So, what's on this week?
It's funny you should ask that.
In this first issue of Two Wheels Extra, we ride round a skate park on scooters in a mass test looking at budget, sport and retro scoots to get us started.
Richard gets some much needed training with the police to straighten out some of his bad habits.
And we both get kitted out in designer leathers that'll look as good on the street as on your bike.
You know, biking's not just about going fast. And it's not just about making a lot of noise. And it's not just about the camaraderie that us bikers seem to have.
And then sometimes you've got to make a bit of noise and go fast, just because it's fun.
So we thought we'd kick off the series with a bit of a treat for us both and each pick one of the best from the current rash of sports bikes. Me, I get the Aprilla RSV Mille R. Glamorous, Italian, oh yes, very, very fast. Never one to follow the rest of the pack, Fran went for something completely different. From a big thumping V-twin Italian sports bike to a small, nimble, typical four-in-line Japanese midweight. The Yamaha R6 is her chosen steed, smaller relative of the immensely successful Yamaha R1. Of course, both of these bikes would be happiest being thoroughly abused somewhere on a racetrack, but for the purposes of this test, we thought we'd keep it strictly real life and keep them on the roads.
So I've been given the Yamaha R6, younger brother to the legendary R1. And this really is its baby brother. It's exactly the same, but miniaturised. So it doesn't feel at all daunting if it's your first entry into superbikes. But don't be fooled, this bike is not a toy. The riding position is extreme and you are right over the tank with your feet tucked right up. But it does feel quite light. And believe you me, this bike is raring to go. The good news is that as well as its diminutive stature, when it comes to town riding, its engine's on your side too. It's a typical midweight Japanese 4, with all the power lurking at the top end. So when you don't want to take off like a Tasmanian devil with its tail on fire, leave it in the low revs and it's as friendly as a scooter.
Where the little R6 is small, neat and efficient, this, the Mille R, is big, loud and brash. It's actually one of 3 versions of the Mille that range from expensive through to ludicrously expensive through to, oh my god, sell your firstborn and you might just afford a down payment on the mortgage you'll need to buy one. If the last time you rode a super or a sports bike, the gear lever was on the left-hand side, or the thing had about 49cc, this is probably not the thing to climb on board. The big Mille does the exact opposite of mould itself to you. It's a series of uncomfortable angles that you kind of bend yourself round. Once you're in position, this thing is made with a purpose. That much is immediately obvious. There's a huge amount of high tech on board, as well as an enormous amount of grunt available.
You can pay from just under 9 grand for an RSV Milli and up to 22 for the top spec model. This in the middle is about 10.5. Some people love the look, others are not so sure. This one also benefits from a £2,500 one-off specially made exhaust system. Once you've contorted your body to suit the bike's shape, it's time to settle down and more or less dream of track days. It is so torquey. This is not a bike that you can take for granted. On a greasy day, you need extra care, pulling off a roundabout from as little as 500 revs, and the tail will start to twitch out of line. Mind you, it's a sign of the bike's competence that you still can use quite a lot, if not all of that power, on the road and enjoy it.
Time now for our weekly look at biking kit.
And this week we're getting funky and fashionable.
With clothes designed not just to keep you safe on the road, but to look good as well. What have you got?
Wait and see.
Right, see you in a minute. Ah, same jacket.
Yeah.
Alpine Stars, Dino. Very fashionable, very practical. How much?
Yours is about 315.
Okay.
And mine is 285.
Mine costs more because there's more leather on it, because it's all big and manly to fit me, obviously. Important thing here with these is, yes, they're fashionable, but we've got armour in here and armour in here, and loads of lovely thick leather, and probably lots of double stitching on there as well, so we should be pretty safe using this as a biking jacket.
Yeah, but it is, I mean, it's still quite, you can move about, can't you, in it?
Yeah.
Even though there is armour. So it is, I mean, it is very fashiony, really.
You can feel the difference between this and, say, the one-piece short jacket.
The full-set racing leathers,
where you just,
definitely.
like that when you're wearing it. I mean, you could wear these anyway, couldn't you?
Yeah.
You actually need a bike at all. Right, next jacket.
Absolutely.
After you.
Now, I'm actually wearing Valentino Rossi's replica jacket, and it's £300 for this. Now, it is actually a fashion leather as well. It's fully armoured, but it does come out. And the lining also unzips, so you can wear this
the back.
down the club.
Show the back. Ooh, yeah, beauty.
Yeah, I don't give a damn.
It's kind of severe, isn't it?
It's Valentino Rossi, you see.
Yeah, well, stand well back, please, because I'm wearing, in the same series, the Max Piaggi version. From the same company. This is going to be about 380 quid, but again, actually, if you want a jacket that you can wear for riding fairly seriously, you can then, for your casual time, zip out the lining. You can take out the body armour fairly easily. You can relax it back like that. Wear your ordinary going out kit underneath. Smart. Next.
Now this is the Dainese Makita jacket. It's £200 and it's not armoured. In fact, it's really just a fashion leather.
It's a girl's jacket.
To be quite honest, it's got the pretty blue padded elbows and a nice little back detail there.
You've got to admit, it does look quite good.
Yeah, you just can't ride in it though, really, if you want to be safe.
Yeah, it's not for serious riding, is it? But it's a nice looking jacket.
Yeah.
How much was that again?
£200.
Not bad, not bad. Right. Now this, finally, from Triumph. It's actually from the Triple Connection, which is a new collection combining leather, like this here as well, and Cordura. So it's a kind of combination of everything we've done so far. It is armoured, but it does actually look quite good, and I've got to say, of all the ones that I've worn, it's the most comfortable. 200 quid, called the Falcon. Very nice. And that's it for our fashionable but functional collection. Goodbye. Now, you and I know that we're not supposed to be knocking around down by the railway lines like this, but criminals sometimes use places like this as a means of escape and as through routes, and when that happens, the police are called upon to chase them, and that can mean negotiating some pretty tough territory, and that's where these guys come in. They're the British Transport Police, who have a special unit set up to do just that, and we're going to get to find out all about their work.
Oh there, try that on your ordinary police bike, but then these are not ordinary police riders. They're specially trained to ride over this territory. And no, I'm not on the run. I've been told that I can have a go. And I'm off to get my bike. Well, I'm off to the loo first, actually.
So I've got the bike, I've got no shortage of expert tuition over there. We're going to have a bash. It's a police bike.
The Honda Transalp was chosen because it's relatively light, quite simple, fairly pokey, and easy to ride off-road. Mind you, when it's somebody else's police bike, you are a little bit careful.
Well, here we go. And I have been warned, this is a police bike. And if I break it, I'm in a lot of trouble. No pressure. Change my mind. Now, it may not look like much, but because of all the kit and all the stuff on the back of the bike, this thing does not feel like anything else I've ridden. It's quite odd. Right, Dave, it's obvious that this isn't standard. What have you got in here? Because that was the biggest thing I felt, the weight.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of additional weight to the bike. This top box is where the radio equipment is kept, plus the drivers and the ancillary equipment to drive the emergency lights and the two-tones.
And it's all right up on the top, so
yeah.
it's the centre of gravity.
Yeah, basically anything that's required on its natural duty, you know, the Torah duty. We've got in here, we've got A to Z's, maps, first aid kit, body bags, gloves, spare packets, you know.
Lunch.
Lunch, sometimes, flask, hot tea.
He had a meat pie in there.
Yeah.
Got to do it.
You've got to survive, you can't live.
Lugging it around, they're a big bike anyway.
They are big,
Loads
they're
of
a heavy
torque,
bike.
which is useful.
Yeah, very good
when it's
for
that
torque.
top heavy, what techniques are you using to get around that? Because I had a right wobble on going through that stuff, which I shouldn't have done. How'd you get around it?
It's basically, it's your same principles that you would apply to sort of slow manoeuvre control. You know, it's relying on lots of revs to keep you going. Forward momentum obviously is very important. Through the rough, as we're doing here, you've got to keep it going. As soon as you get bogged down anywhere, that's it, you're out of the game.
I mean, you don't just chuck these guys straight out in the rough, do you?
Oh, no, we do of course. Yeah, we do training. Yeah.
Right, so you're going to talk us through some of that? We're going to have a go at some slow speed manoeuvring?
Yeah, certainly, by all means.
Now that isn't off-road, so we're after a nice, comfy, non-bumpy environment.
After the break, we're still off-road, but this time on a car park, when me and the boys get to grips with some of the basics. And yes, I'll be having a go at this too. Welcome back. Before the guys are let loose to chase baddies across railway lines and down ditches, just like all the rest of us, it's time to get to grips with the basics, round some cones on a car park.
Ross, let's go back to when this started then. What was the problem?
Well, trespass and vandalism is a major problem for rail track, especially on the northwest coast. It presents a risk to drivers, it presents a risk to children, and it presents a risk to the public.
So huge problem affecting huge numbers of us. What did you see as the solution?
Rail track supports a number of initiatives to combat trespass and vandalism, fencing, CCTV. But one of the newer ones has been these motorbikes. Together with the British Transport Police, we've sponsored these motorbikes for reducing trespass and vandalism.
That was the problem, but what was the solution? Well, that was supplied by Steve White of the Manchester Transport Police.
So Railtrack came to you, said, look, we have this problem. What did you see as the solution to that?
The obvious solution was, as you can see in the background, the motorbike. Tests have been done and show that when compared to a car or van, a motorbike can get through urban traffic by filtrating through that traffic on average 62% quicker than a car.
So yeah, once they've actually responded quicker and got there, there are places where a bike can go that a car can't, presumably.
Indeed, and we're working in a railway environment, so they have to go down rough terrain. We've got ballast, we've got uneven roads, potholes, and these bikes, these hybrid machines, are actually ideal for that.
There's no putting it off, it's time for my go around the cones. Bearing in mind the extreme weight transfer with all the extra clobber on top, and I'm a bit nervous. I don't want to break somebody else's police bike.
As you can see, the lads are doing cone work. Not very well. That's one of the mistakes of the day. Anyway, the basic principles of riding, again, it's control, balance, knowing when to brake, how hard to brake, things like that. Use of the clutch and the throttle, you know, in conjunction, controlling the bike speed, keeping the revs up high, but moving the bike slowly. Basic control, it's like clutch work. You don't want to destroy your clutch doing stuff like this. So it's high revs, back brake. Back brake is your killer. That's what keeps you moving nice and slow. Want to move fast, release it off, and it's smooth, and that's the way it should be. We're trained to evaluate everything as you're going along. You know, it's foreground, distance, and then obviously sides and rear view all the time. It's very intensive mentally to ride a bike for 6 hours a day. When you're out on your own, you tend to be more scenery observing, don't you? But you've got to be aware of everything and everyone, because you might be the best rider on the road, but it only takes someone in front of you who's not concentrating, and that's you down.
Right then, final words done. I can ride round cones. Surely, we can all ride round cones on a police bike.
Grip the tank with your legs. Control, your solid control of the bike now, and you can push it either way. If you're sat wide-legged, you tend to flap it a bit, you know. Grip the tank, keep the revs up, foot on the brake, keep the pressure on the brake and let it just glide through.
Thank God I'm so tall, it's really useful.
Finally, it's my turn. And no, it's not really that much more difficult than when you took your test. Just bearing in mind that there's so much more weight on the top, so you don't want a pendulum action, and all the rest of it follows on. Easy as that. At the end of the day, you even get to play with the siren and the lights, which I've got to be honest, was the best bit.
It's not bad really, you're on a bike all day, you get a blue flashing light and to go all sorts of places most of us don't. If you love bikes, that's got to be a good job.
Yeah, sunshine, wet, snow and rain, you have it. But there you go.
Riding a bike 8 hours a day, starting to enjoy it. Yes, I can't argue with that, it's really, really good.
Well, basically this is the only chance I get to ride a bike because I'm not allowed to have one at home.
Yeah, it's good. But it's like everything else, you always want it bigger and better, you see.
Well, I think it's ideal, don't you?
So you're finally fed up with your 50, frustrated with just 49 cc's worth of fun and all the pleasure that brings. You've passed 16, you're now 17. You're ready to graduate to something a little bit more grown up. And so we've gathered together 3 125cc scooters for you. Will you kill that thing, please, Fran? Thank you. We've got, representing the sporty end of the spectrum, this, the Gilera Runner SP 125. For the traditionalists, we have this, a good old-fashioned Vespa 125.
Or this, on the budget end of the market, the Piaggio Typhoon XR.
Kids.
The Piaggio Vespa PX125. It's not exactly the same as the original. It's actually got a front disc brake and improved suspension, which is good news, but it still looks fantastic. Wonder how many of the original Vespas you'd have been able to buy for nearly 1,900 quid. The Piaggio Typhoon XR125, to give it its full name, is a chunky looking little fella, but despite those off-road looks, it's good for 70 miles an hour. Hello, speed! The Gilera Runner 125 SP, a proper hot rod of a scooter. Looks great and goes well too. Mind you, they do make a 180 version, which is good for 85 miles an hour. Are we sure this is still a scooter? Oh, let's do that bit again, shall we?
So we've got 3 bikes, all 125s, but all have distinctly different characters. All we need now is a mission to put them to the test. Go on then.
Oh, all right.
For the Gilera, a quick blast around the city streets seemed to be appropriate, and it felt good and looked good too. I found myself hunting for other scooters to snack on. For a scooter, this thing really is pretty quick.
All right then, budget babe, I've done my bit. Off you go.
Budget babe, I'll give him budget babe. For my mission, I get a trip to the shops. Oh, goody. The Typhoon, despite its name, is a pretty friendly little scoot. The chunky tyres help the rather basic suspension to protect you from some of the bigger potholes, and it's light and easy to park and manoeuvre. On the downside though, you have to be pretty aggressive with the throttle to persuade it to move off. If this is budget scooting, then count me in for some.
Out on the Vespa, and it felt time, well, just for a straight pose really. It ain't fast, but it sure is pretty. Brighton, here I come. The rugged looks are matched by the ride. The suspension isn't the most sophisticated, and of course having to change gear by twisting the left-hand lever is a bit of a shock for those who aren't used to it too.
So they may all share the same engine, but these bikes are drastically different. The Gilera is smooth and sophisticated, the Piaggio is cheap and cheerful and a lot of fun.
Whereas this one, it looks fantastic and you do feel very good riding it, but as a ride, it is perhaps a little bit agricultural compared to the rest of the three of them. Mind you, it's all a case of you pays your money, you takes your choice.
Next week on Two Wheels Extra, if you're after a scooter that's just a little bit special, ever thought of buying at an auction? We'll check one out for you.
If you don't want to let the weather spoil your trip to work, take a look at the all-in-ones on offer next week.
And a little bit of Americana, with not a Harley for once, but a Buell, with a Harley engine, of course. All this and so much more on Two Wheels Extra next week.